Nominate Paul with that face.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul,
Chris,
and Nate.
Yay!
So today we are doing a special episode. We're doing a compare and contrast with Big Brother and Survivor, some of our favorite games. This is the first time we're all doing a video together, so
Yeah.
you know.
One big happy family. Okay.
We all have knives under our legs.
We're all having a good time ready to stab each other in the backs. But, you know, let's start off with this compare and contrast video. So
Okay, so the first thing we're going to compare and contrast is the rules of Big Brother and Survivor.
Yeah. All right.
So, Survivor, if you're not familiar with the show, it's basically you start off in tribes, whether it's 2, 3, or 4. If you want to go back in Survivor history, tribes of 4 only happened twice. Tribes of 3 have happened multiple times in different formats, and the 2 tribes is the standard. After a certain period of time, whether it's 10 people, 9 people, 11, 12, or 13 people left, it's all numbers that have been used. A merge happens, the tribes are gone, and it becomes an individual game. And at that point, it's every person for themselves, theoretically.
And I think that brings us to the first main point, the first main difference between the game, and it's right in the beginning. It's the tribes. You don't know everyone that you're playing with right off the bat. So in Big Brother, you put on a house, whether it's 12, 14, 16, 17 if you're playing with twins. You know everyone off the bat. You have to somehow meet 16 people, but you're also playing an individual game, but as opposed to a team game on a tribe.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what do you think about that?
I 100% agree with everything that you just said.
Okay.
And it's actually good that you made up that point about how in the beginning of it in Survivor, you don't get to know everyone. You only get to know the people in your tribe.
Exactly.
Whereas in Big Brother, you have more time to talk to people, more time to socialize with people. In Survivor, it's less time, which means less socializing, which means more strategizing, and it's kind of interesting to see because it's more. That means that the game's more intense in Survivor, and it makes that's why I think the gameplay is a little bit more advanced and interesting in Survivor than it is in Big Brother.
You could say that Survivor has developed a lot more, and I think that has to do with the fact that you have to constantly adjust yourself to new elements of the game, and that are just normal elements of the game. It's not so much just twists like Big Brother that are constantly being introduced or reintroduced into. But like
another buyback.
3 buybacks.
Yeah. 3, 4 buybacks. No, but like they're and they don't. For example, a new element in the game is a switch. Like, it's not necessarily a new function of the game because it's been done since, I don't know, season 3. I think season 3 was the first time. It's been done a lot, and it's being used. It's been used every single season now since season 23. 23 was the last season which there was no switch, and since then it's been used every single time. And
what's so interesting about that is that that's an element that you can never get in a Big Brother game.
Yeah.
You're always in the house with the same people. Like, there's nothing new about it. It's never, it's always fresh, obviously, because there's new players. Obviously, always playing different. But it's harder to change the bigger aspect of the game, rather than in Survivor, where you can do these switches. You can do tribes. You can switch tribes in the middle of the game. You do a lot of different maneuvers. That really switches things up.
More people are willing, especially very early. I mean, if you want to look at the past season of Survivor, Millennials versus Gen X, as soon as the tribes were switched, you knew certain people were completely screwed, and like some people were completely like in power. They got into power. Adam, for example, he was on the bottom of his tribe before the switch, and then he gets switched into a tribe where it's 2 people that he wasn't working with in the Millennials and 2 new people from the Gen X, and he could go with either side and benefit either way. So it was just. As an example. So it helps bring in new people that you have to like meet, get to know, and deal with, and you might not have a lot of chances to get to know these people necessarily. I mean, in the case of Zeke and Michelle in this past season, again, for a reference, they went to Tribal Council literally like, 2-3 days after they switched. Yes, there was only 5 people on their tribe, but at the same time, like, that's not a lot of time for them to get to know them. Zeke did a much better job than Michelle, arguably. But like they were both safe and they did a good job with that.
And basically when the tribes do combine at the end, I would say that's when it becomes a little more similar to the Big Brother game.
Yeah.
Because everyone gets to know each other. It becomes more of a loyalty and strategic game, trying to backstab each other at the proper time. Obviously, we have the voting differences and whatnot, and we'll get to that with the actual style. But
and well, I think there's a big similarity in the fact that it is individual, and in terms of like numbers of people left, yes, that's like it's very similar. But on paper, yeah, it looks similar. But when it's actually put into action, it's not as similar. There's a lot of predetermined relationships, a lot of predetermined lines going into the individual game that help define how the rest of the game is going to function. So in terms of alliances, I think you could compare like a season of like All Stars, like Big Brother All Stars, to the individual game of Survivor, because for sure there was pre-gaming going on before the All Star season. There were definitely people that talked, for example, like Bookie and Dr. Will. For sure they talked before All Stars, and I'm pretty sure they both knew that they were going to come back.
There was some talk about Paulie and James back in Big Brother 18, which is kind of a little thing.
Yeah.
Just little things like that.
Exactly.
Derek manipulating things.
Oh, God.
It's okay, Derek. We don't believe you did.
Yeah. But, so I think you can compare it to that in terms of people knowing each other and, like, having predetermined alliances, but I think that's as far as it really goes to, in terms of the actual game going through. So, yeah.
All right, so do you guys want to get to the actual, like, breakdown of... You want to go with the voting, for instance?
Yeah.
Or, well, let's go to challenges and voting and competitions.
Yeah.
So, in Big Brother we have this... And this has been true ever since Big Brother 3. You have a veto competition, an HOH, and sometimes you had food competitions, which were an interesting little style, but they kind of stopped that recently. Yeah. So let's start with the HOH.
BB15 was the last one they had, like, a legitimate food competition, right?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
Right,
we're talking about Big Brother 15? Yeah, that was the last time they've done the have-not competition. Yeah. Which is weird.
Yeah,
they stopped completely doing that.
I was just kind of been like, oh, you choose.
I think it was the ice cream challenge.
I like that.
I think that might be why.
So in Big Brother, you have an HOH competition, and that person, whoever wins that competition, is essentially in power in the house. They're safe, and they have the power of nominating 2 people for eviction, and just a big difference right there. And Nate, you can go ahead and explain the difference between that and Survivor.
So with Survivor, like, anyone's empowered at any given point in time. In terms of the tribe, no one's safe unless they have an idol, and even then, they may not even be safe because it's up to them whether or not they want to play it. It's a voluntary thing as to whether or not they want to be safe before the merge, if they have to go to tribal council. There's also more opportunities to be safe in Big Brother that are clearly defined. I mean, in Survivor, you have 2, and one of them is completely random. You don't know if you're going to be lucky enough to find an idol, and it's like location that you have to be in. It's certain timing, so you can make sure that it's not a mute point, because if people find out, that could be dangerous.
A lot of it's luck, basically, trying to read the heads of other players and even finding the idol in the first place.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very complicated.
And then you compare it to Big Brother, and Big Brother has way more opportunities to be safe. You have the HOH, you have the power of veto, and then we've been getting new powers of veto introduced into the game, like the boomerang veto and the double veto that were introduced in BBOTT.
Yeah.
Diamond power veto, which has only been seen play once, but like, and then you go to BB Can, where you have secret vetoes as well.
Right.
That was in BB Can 2, I believe. So there are a lot more opportunities to be safe. And the ones that are not normal, like the Diamond Power Veto and the Secret Veto, those would be likened to a idol in Survivor. But nonetheless, you still have 2 opportunities every week to save yourself, possibly, rather over Survivor, where you're not. And even if you're not winning competitions, that doesn't mean you're necessarily in trouble either.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I want to mention for Big Brother, which is a little different for Survivor, is that a lot of it's based on, if an HOH you're not friendly with wins, you're almost definitely in a bad position no matter what. Like, it's very complicated. You're forced to play. It's like, I guess in Survivor, if an HOH on the other side wins, you're on the bottom for that week.
Yeah.
But but if you make it past that week, you can bounce back.
Yeah.
Depending on who wins.
I also want to bring up another rule. Finally talking.
Sorry, Chris.
With the immunity idol and the HOH, I feel like it's a lot more harder when you win an HOH, because you can't play the following competition, and the only way you can save yourself is with the veto. Whereas in Survivor, you can keep winning immunity idols over and over and over again, and there's no stopping you from winning competitions. And I feel like it's if you're a competition beast, Survivor is a lot more easier to play rather than Big Brother, where it's kind of like you have to hope that next week that you're fine with the social connections you made and the strategy that you've come up with. So
and another interesting difference is that with the HOH, you can't give it away.
Yeah.
With the immunity necklace, after the individual game, you can give away the necklace to another player, which has mixed results.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think there's only been like 1 or 2 times where that's actually been successful, and I think one of those times the person was already safe anyway. So that was Burton in Survivor Pearl Islands. That was season 7. Because of the Outcast twist, he was already safe, and he won immunity for that round, and he gave it to Rupert. So, and he was already safe. He didn't need it. So that's why.
Right. Yeah. And then we have the famous season 16 with Eric giving it up.
Yeah. And Brandon Hance as well. So
just a lot of, it's an interesting twist, but not something that's could be used very often.
It's not used. It has not been used to major success.
Right.
And the reason why I think it would have been more successful in the earlier seasons because immunity necklace was like giving up your immunity necklace would have been looked more highly upon and less of an opportunistic idea than it is nowadays. After season 16, people were like, giving up the necklace to someone, that's a point in time where we can get rid of you. We know you can win challenges. You may not be on the bottom. You may be on the bottom, so let's take this opportunity to get rid of you. But with the HOH, you're safe. And even if you win the veto, you're safe, no matter what. If you use it on someone else, if you use it on yourself, you're safe. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get to the veto necklace in general. So the veto necklace, if basically 6 players play, it's the HOH. So the HOH is always available to play for the veto, which is a good power for them.
Yeah.
The 2 people that are on the block, if there's more than 2, depending on the season, but it's usually 2. Please keep it at 2. And then we have 3 people selected by random draw, typically. So you just pick it out of a hat.
Yeah.
So, and that's another difference from Survivor.
Yeah.
Typically you have...
and another big difference is the fact that in Veto, there's only 6 people playing.
Yeah.
And in Survivor, everyone's playing everything, no matter what. So it's like, you can just be in the house and then just get out, not even playing a competition.
So another difference is, and this is fundamental, is that you could be off the block, but you could still be the target and not play in the veto.
Exactly.
So that would give you only one opportunity to save yourself, the HOH.
It's kind of
but
fucked up.
Yeah.
It's always a fucked up
Unless,
situation.
of course, you won the HOH in the previous round, in which case you have no opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
yourself.
That's
Exactly.
So,
and then that's the theory of a back door.
Yeah.
yes.
And
No backdoors in Survivor.
in Survivor, we have the blind side instead, which...
So in Survivor, a blind side is a little bit different. Like when that backdoor happens in Big Brother, you're on the you didn't win veto, you like people put you on the block. You know you're going home, but you still have an opportunity to save yourself. You still have more time to save yourself theoretically. You have 2-3 days, however long it takes in their timeline. But in Survivor, with the blind side, there's a short amount of time for an elimination. For Big Brother, you have a week to come up with some target, change the plan however many times you want. Survivor, you have at most
3 days. Yeah.
You have at most.
At most. And
You have less time. Yeah. Which is more intense.
And usually you don't figure it out until the day you lose the challenge.
Yeah. Because
thinking in those terms.
So and even then, even if you don't lose the challenge, towards the end of the game, when you only have 1 day to eliminate someone, yes, there's less people, but you have hours. You only have a couple hours to figure something out. You have that morning to relax because you can't really make a plan before the immunity challenge happens because you don't know what the immunity challenge is going to be, and 2, you don't know who's going to win the immunity challenge.
Which brings up another thing that the Big Brother has that has been introduced a long time ago and people expect now is the double eviction. So a lot of people will say, well, double eviction doesn't give you a lot of time. I mean, everyone always expects there to be a double eviction every season.
There are plans put in place for double evictions. For example, BB15, when it was Judd. They had that plan. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important with this little idea that we have going on here. So what I want to bring up as well, and I forgot. Okay. Just go ahead. I forgot what I was saying.
Okay. So anyway, in BB15, for example, Judd was the plan to get rid of a double eviction for a while. He didn't know it. A lot of people did. Another example is Victor in BB18, and we know this because of Devon. They were wanting to get rid of him constantly in a double eviction because they're like, okay, that's the only way they're gonna get rid of him. And it constantly happens over and over and again because people save these people because they give them the least amount of time possible to get in a double eviction. Great example as well as James. James is the primary person to get rid of in a double eviction. You don't want to give someone like James, I think Rob Cesternino has said this over and over again, you don't want to give someone like James the opportunity to give himself a week to defend himself. And that's where the strategy comes in with this. Someone like Judd, someone like Victor could give themselves, if they given a week, could defend themselves because they have a lot of information and they have that opportunity.
And we know that they plan these things out. The other house guests always plan these things out because we have another big difference, and this is what I was trying to pivot to before my mind blew up in those 10 seconds, the live feeds. So a big difference between Survivor and Big Brother is that Big Brother is, you can watch it live. Survivor is shot months beforehand, and it's edited by CBS, so we don't always know everything that's going on. And I think that's very important. Chris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the live feeds, to me, I think if anyone's like playing Survivor, if anyone's playing Big Brother, I feel like Big Brother, because there's a live feed aspect to it, I think that adds more pressure to it because you know, oh my god, people are watching me right now. I have to figure out what I'm doing, and yeah, I think
you gotta watch your mouth.
Yeah, you have to watch everything that you're saying. Whereas in Survivor, you can just say whatever you want, and it's just up to CBS to wherever they want to put it in the show.
Exactly.
So I feel like the live feeds definitely brings a more realistic aspect to it. Whereas Survivor, it kind of varies a little bit.
And like Survivor does edit people in a negative light from time to time. I think Dan Foley is a great example of that. Just because like people could not stand him, and Rodney from the same season as well. People were constantly calling them meninous, and they had time to like really think of an idea of like how they would respond to people. Dan Foley thought he was the perfect person on earth, so like he didn't see it coming at all. And he's like, oh, it was the edit, it was the edit. No, it's actually how it was. And but regardless, like Survivor doesn't do it as often as Big Brother does. So Big Brother's like very upfront, like, yes, this is how people are. We may not be editing it because we're editing this for like a family show for like all ages to see. But when it's online, it's free game. And that's where a lot of these people characters, I mean, going off of...
That's where a lot of the popularity starts and, you know,
exactly.
ends.
And like, if you go off based off the show, I don't think like, if we didn't have live feeds, I don't think Paulie would be nearly as hated as he was like this past season.
I agree, 100%.
Or Frank, for that matter. I think Frank definitely would have gotten some hate, especially off the edit because he spanked the woman's ass. But like,
I actually think the live feeds actually saved him in that situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they pointed at him in such negative light, but in actuality, he's like just being
that's
a genuine
the thing.
person.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about the live feeds is that you know what 100% what's going on. Whereas in Survivor, you don't know. Like that's just they're taking a bunch of clips within what they film, and we don't know 100% what's going on.
You have to take the fights at face value.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'd be like, oh, well, maybe they put this together, and you know what I mean. So it's kind of to each his own.
Like for example, I think another great example is like Becky in BB17.
Yeah.
Like on the show when she was trying to get Vanessa out, it looked like she was playing very hard. It looked like she was playing very well, and she failed because her allies turned on her and decided they wanted to keep Vanessa over Shelly. Which was completely stupid. But but that's James for you. But like, but if you look at the live feeds,
It was Jackie.
yeah.
No, it was James.
It was all three of them.
Yeah, it was all three of them. But if you look at the live feeds, Becky really wasn't doing as much. Yes, she wanted Vanessa out, but she wasn't really trying very hard to get Vanessa out. She could have honestly tried harder to get the route, like to get everybody going to get Vanessa out. She could have turned Vanessa on other people.
Vanessa played that up a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting in that aspect. So we do have these live feeds, which are very interesting. One thing I also want to talk about, obviously, is the amount of days. So in Survivor, it's almost always 39.
The one season that it wasn't, it was season 2, but every other season has been 39. So out of 33 seasons, we've had, well, not 34 if you count Game Changers, because that's already happened.
I'm sure they're filming 35 right now.
They won't be filming 35 until next spring.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so like every season but one has been 39 days.
Right, and in Big Brother, it's varied from every season. I think we had like 60 days in the beginning, and Big Brother Canada obviously started off with a low amount of days. And I think recently we just hit 100 days.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Maybe if there's a contract, I'd say just look at that a little, very closely, because maybe there's some hint in there for the person on the show, but for the viewer, you have no idea until it actually ends. And that's another interesting aspect. But the reasoning why the days are so long compared to Survivor is because, I mean, you're on a goddamn island.
Yeah. Yeah, with nothing. Like, you would die if you were there for 100 days. Like, they don't want you to, like, come out and need to go to a hospital immediately.
Yeah.
Like, yes, some of these people do. I mean, some people suffer from parasites. I mean, Sandra Diaz-Twine, she wasn't able to be on All-Stars because after season 7, because of the fact that she was suffering from parasite.
Oh, wow.
And then Tony had recovered from a few for months after his original season. And he talked about it during the finale. I think he had like 4 or 5 of them in his stomach. So he was still underweight at the finale. So it was
a much higher chance of injury
Yes.
on Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Big time.
you got to give those players a lot more credit because they're putting themselves under extreme duress.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the environment just doesn't do well to you.
Ko-Rong, Micronesia, Samoa, big examples of seasons where it took out like big players in the game, and key players in the game even due to medical injury. And so, like a couple of them, it was their own fault. I mean, for example, Joe in season 31, Ko-Rong 32. Joe, he ate too much beef, and his stomach couldn't do that. By the way, don't eat a lot of meat when you're out there. If you go on a reward on Survivor, your stomach cannot handle it the longer that you're in the game. So,
and that adds another, I would say, more unpredictability to the game.
Yes.
Which is another interesting aspect. So Survivor has a little more unpredictability when it comes to these medical emergencies because people could get out of the game because of this, and that's huge.
Exactly.
Could turn the game 180 degrees.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to your body in Survivor more closely than you do in Big Brother. And like Big Brother doesn't have an element of food. I think if you look back to Shane in BB14, he was complaining about losing weight during the first few weeks. He lost, I think, like 20 pounds and he was a big guy to begin with, but he was just not getting the nutrients in the food that he was used to getting.
Of course.
So there is an element of that to that. So,
and then let's do a little correlation with Big Brother. So Big Brother doesn't have that kind of level, obviously, but what they have instead are the have-nots, which basically they're forced to eat slop.
Yeah, sorry.
They're forced to eat slop, and basically the slop is I don't know what it's made out of, some sort of oaty material. That's what I've always heard
it's
about.
It's not gluten-free from what I've heard.
oh, that's not good for those people.
Yeah.
If there was someone like that on there, they'd probably add it in. Yeah. Because that could be like a big problem.
That could be a problem, yeah.
Oh, boy. So it's not a really comparable in that kind of like, but that's basically what Big Brother has compared to the Survivor. Oh, you have to find your own food. Oh, well, we just have pretty bad have-not food.
Like Survivor is complete, and you could get really lucky with some really good food in Survivor. But yeah, anyway, like Survivor has a completely different aspect with food, and like you would have to find your own food, and you can get lucky sometimes. I mean, season 24, they found a pig. Like they didn't eat it because they couldn't catch it, but they found a pig. Season 10,
season 4, they had pigs. They couldn't catch it either.
Yeah. Survivor Palau, Tom Westman, the beast of a man that he is, I think he killed like 10 snakes and cooked them all for everybody, chopped off all their heads, and they had snake. Like you get very lucky with these things. And I mean, where else are you gonna eat snakes? Survivor Samoa, Natalie ate a rat. She was so hungry, but it was just like,
in Big Brother, you request food.
Yes, literally.
You in HOH, you get a whole basket full of it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're Becky, in which case you ask for Brussels sprouts. But it's like,
I mean, hey, you like what you like, I guess.
That's true. But yeah, like definitely Big Brother is much more cushy. But like in terms of the mental element, it's a very different like mental effect on the game. It's a very longer game in terms of mental endurance. I think you could argue it's harder. It's in that aspect. Like yes, Survivor is physically worse.
Yeah.
Just because it hits every aspect of your body.
Yeah, it puts you under a certain amount of mental duress, and that mental duress is really something that you don't hit in Survivor until, again, probably the end point when it is individual challenges. But you're doing it for a lot longer time.
Yes.
So you're constantly paranoid.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of a whole week,
Yeah.
wondering if you're safe, let's say you're not close to the HOH. You're constantly pondering, and you don't have any like technology with you or anything, nothing to distract you. You're all in your head. Or you're talking to someone and you're just bouncing off ideas, but you're always paranoid. Yeah. Like that's one thing that you always see in the life.
And even then, like Big Brother is more known for its twists that affect the game, and you don't know when a twist is going to drop sometimes. Survivor, it's been very consistent with what it does. They usually just say, okay, here's the twist for the season. It's very rare when they introduce something new. And when they do introduce something new, it's not usually something that's very consequential. And like even when they had the Super Idol, like that was something that really, honestly, didn't affect the game that much. Tony found it in Cagayan. He didn't use it as much And he didn't really use it. He used it as a dead idol later in the game. And then, for example, and another one like Adam, he found the reward steal. He never used it, and he gave it to someone else. Yeah, and he gave it to someone else, and really was inconsequential there as well. Because honestly, I think it was Jay's time. It was Jay's time. It's like at that point in the game, you have to win immunity or you lose. So it's just, yeah, like with twists, they're not really as impactful in Survivor necessarily as they would be in Big Brother. I mean, Big Brother, you have the double save in and the coup d'etat, and you have like
the
buybacks, Diamond Power Veto. You don't know when they're going to be, and they could be at any point in time. So
you can almost always expect a buyback in Big Brother. It's very, very common for a buyback to occur, but like let's say Big Brother 18, for example, they had 2 buybacks.
Yeah.
And Victor got back both times because he's a stud. But still, that's 2 buybacks.
Yeah.
No one ever expects 2 buybacks. You always expect 1 at least.
Yeah.
But the second one took people by surprise.
They had a pre-jury and a post-jury buyback, and we usually just have the post-jury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think we talked. Do you have anything else? Any other points?
I don't think so. I think if we do, we can do like something else some other time. But yeah, I think we covered it pretty much.
Yeah. So these are basically just compare and contrast points. A lot of it was just conversation, basically. You know, we talking to each other, just discovering these things as we talk. I feel like was pretty fun as well. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. In case you guys were wondering, Chris's camera blew up.
Sorry, guys.
He's right there. If you're missing him, keep in tune for our next video, which is probably going to be Sequester 7.0 cast analysis when that comes out. So again, thank you guys for watching.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.